Hey everyone, I'm Jean-François,
Max here.
out of the USAID Institute. So if you're here, you're working with us on a professional development or leadership development activity that uses the MBTI or Myers-Briggs Type Indicator assessment. We've been using this particular assessment for about 5 years here as a part of our program with external clients, but also with all the military staff that's posted through the USAID doors. We think it's an excellent professional development tool. It provides self-awareness about your personality type, but I'll leave it there for now because Max is going to cover that in the second half of our video. Now that you know why we use the MBTI and how long we've been using it, I'm just going to talk about the basic rules for proper application and use of an MBTI. The first thing is you need to work with a certified practitioner like Max or myself. We both got certified in 2018 to use, administer, and interpret the MBTI. And that's an important part of the business because you need to be assured that you're working with somebody that's qualified in the use of this tool. The other very important rule is everything you do with an MBTI is fully confidential. What does that mean? That means that whatever you do in terms of filling out a questionnaire, getting your reports back, is completely confidential. Nobody else will see your results, save perhaps Max or myself, and I remind you, we're certified practitioners. But typically, you fill out the questionnaire online on your own, and we send back the report without looking at it. The only exception to that would be if you require an individual conversation or coaching debrief for your MBTI. We would then look at your individual report, but if you're working with me, only I would have access to it, and same thing for Max. So that's the confidentiality part. And the entire process I'm going to discuss in the next couple of minutes is fully confidential from start to finish. So that's to make sure that you're comfortable undertaking this particular assessment. Now, in terms of the assessment itself or the process, I should say, you will get an invitation by email before the activity, of course. This will be sent to your civilian or personal email account. So the first thing to do if you don't see the invite in your inbox is to check the spam folder or the junk mail, because sometimes these invitations tend to fall into those particular folders. If all else fails and it's not in one of those folders, just contact me or Max and we'll fix the issue in short order. Once you've located the email, you'll see there's a bunch of valuable information in there. Some information about the tool itself, the MBTI, but also some information on resources that are at your disposal before and after taking the assessment, and a link that allows you to start your assessment. That's all contained in that email. And again, the information there is only for you. It's confidential. And when you do answer the questionnaire, again, nobody else will have access to your results. Once you complete the questionnaire or the assessment, we get a notification that our customer or client or participant, I should say, has completed the assessment, and we send it back to you individually 24 hours before the professional development or leadership activity that will support the use of the MBTI assessment. Why 24 hours? It's kind of an industry standard to send those things out about 24 hours before, so people don't get too much time deep diving their particular reports without the benefits of working with a certified practitioner who can actually explain how the tool works and how to interpret properly. So if you don't get your report 24 hours before the activity itself, again, just contact Max or myself and we'll be able to send the report out to you in short order to make sure that you have it in hand for the activity, because that's another key aspect. To get the most out of your professional development activity, it's a good idea to have your report on your device or print it out, depending on what you prefer, when you show up for the activity. So I'm going to hand it over to Max now, and he's going to cover a bit about the MBTI and also best practices to get the most out of your evaluation. Max?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So for those who may not be quite familiar with the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, like the name says it, is a psychometric tool meant to give you sort of a snapshot of certain aspects of your personality. And we say certain aspects because a tool like the MBTI with a questionnaire made of about 100 questions cannot accurately give you a complete picture of your whole personality. Personalities are complex, and in no way can a tool like the MBTI or really just any other tool can this be done with, right? So what it will do is give you an idea, a snapshot of certain aspects of your personality, certain patterns, certain preferences. What are they? Well, for example, in terms of interactions, how do you go about interactions? Do you have a preference for extroversion or introversion? How do you gather information? What kind of information do you prefer, first and foremost? on the basis of this information gathering, what kind of decisions are you good at making? What is your decision-making style? And last but not least, how do you organize yourself, right? How do you go about doing big projects, smaller projects? How do you deal with schedules, routines, so on and so forth? So the MBTI is meant to give you some measure of awareness of these different domains of your personality. And that's the whole purpose behind the MBTI. And when we say a type tool-based psychometric assessment, it is exactly that. It's not meant to measure behaviors or degrees of behavior. It's not going to let you know just how much of an extrovert you are or how much of an introvert you are. It's only going to let you know that you have a preference for either extroversion or introversion. And in other aspects of the tool, it's also going to let you know what your preference is. And based on this, there's a number of really powerful insights that can be gathered for leadership purposes. Communication style is hugely influenced by your preferences in the MBTI. We mentioned it very briefly, but decision making, which is also a big part of leadership, is also influenced by the MBTI. Even specific aspects like conflict resolution can be influenced and impacted by different preferences you may come up with through the MBTI. So in this regard, the report that will be generated based on your answers will give you some measure of awareness. And that's the whole purpose behind us doing the MBTI, either in one of the programs at the OSID or through other engagements with external clients. That's the whole purpose of doing it. It's raising awareness and really just a stepping stone to talk about leadership. So I mentioned the questionnaire, and there are certain best practices to keep in mind going forward. You may have already received the link to take part in the online questionnaire. Here's a few ideas to keep in mind. So, like I already mentioned, it's about 100 questions, this questionnaire. It's going to take you about 30 minutes, give or take a few minutes. It may take you longer, may take you less than 30 minutes, doesn't really matter. On average, it's about half an hour. It's a good idea to set some time aside to have just a quiet environment in which to do it, not to be interrupted by other tasks. It's well worth the investment, because in the end, the report that will be generated will be, more closely tied to who you are actually as a person and how you approach different leadership tasks like communication, like conflict resolution, like decision making. So again, it's well worth the investment. 30 minutes, quiet time. The other thing I would mention is how you approach the questionnaire, right? So you'll see that the questions are really forced questions between two options, right? And the idea is to pick the option that is more appealing to you and not to overdwell on the questions themselves. That's why we're saying that it should take you about 30 minutes. There's a scenario in this that you could take 2 hours to go through 100 questions. That's not the point. So quickly go through each of the questions, almost instinctively choose which of the two options is more appealing to you. And again, what this will do is provide a more accurate picture of certain domains of your personality, and this will only make it more insightful and more beneficial for your own professional development. So that was my piece on it. Is there anything else we want to capture before we go?
No, I think we're good. Just looking forward to working with all of you with this particular tool. And again, just a key reminder again, the entire process is completely confidential. It's important to establish this confidence between you, the participant, and us, the practitioners. So we're looking forward to interact with you in whatever leadership development or professional development activity you're participating in.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.